Hi guys, congrats for making it this far into the semester. It is super duper weird, but at least we're not towards Black Plague yet. But this is what we're going to talk about. We are going to talk about the Black Plague, the similarities between that plague, and today's events with the coronavirus. Alright, so the first event that we'll be covering today will be the Black Death. So how it started was during the 13th and 14th century, as Europe and Asia started trading, what happened was in Asia, we had rats. On board ships heading towards Europe, but the thing was that the rats were contaminated. They were carrying They were carrying fleas that contained Lyme, something similar to Lyme disease. So as the ship settled into Europe, so did the rats as well. So hence how the plague started. So within the 7 years of history that the Black Plague existed, it has killed tens of millions of people, estimating from 30 to 50% of the European population being wiped out. Now the following symptoms of the Black Plague would be fever, headache, chills, weakness, swollen and painful lymph nodes, and occasionally it would also include a black discoloration within the skin. So as medicine in the 14th century is completely different than medicine that we have today, one of the most common and unusual treatments during the Black Plague will be the use of plague doctors. You'll commonly see them as the guys wearing bird-looking mask, but inside their mask will be flowers. Usually be flowers and herbs to help them mask their smell of death. While at the same time they believe those flowers, while they breathe them, it'll help them prevent them from getting the plague in their body. Which is also hence how the song Ring Around the Rosie started. Right. So how did the Black Plague end? The possible theory of the Black Plague ending would be the use of quarantine and isolation from everyone else in densely populated areas. Similar to what we're going through right now. In fact, I really do miss being around with everybody. Now let's talk about the coronavirus next, because we're all stuck here and this is pretty similar to the Black Plague, but we're not there yet. We're clearly not there yet. Alright, so the coronavirus started from late 2019 till today. Its origins has started believing from China, as the popular theory is that the virus has spread from bats from a laboratory, which escaped, and then going into someone's food, because apparently bats is a delicacy in China. And not in urban areas of China. Usually you'll find that in semi-rural areas. Alright, so as the virus has spread all throughout China during late 2019, even with even with their cities' quarantine methods, it still did not stop people traveling all throughout the world, and possibly spreading the virus to other countries. One of the common cases of the coronavirus reaching into the United States was back in late January, early February. A Chinese individual has reached Seattle. While he was unknown about being infected, he was the first case to ever reach the United States. Hence causing Washington State to be the first case to be hit by the coronavirus. So currently, as I'm talking, the death rate worldwide is currently at 1.32 million people, while the recovery rate is at 34.9 million. Although this virus is very new, experts believe that the recovery rate is between 97 to 99%. So that means that there's still a good chance of survival. However, we should not risk those percentages to be in our favor of survival, as this virus is very new, possibly man-made, and it's just still very new to us. It's like Resident Evil all of a sudden. Now, as we know so far about the coronavirus, we know that the symptoms of the coronavirus is mostly respiratory issues, and also flu-like symptoms, such as a fever or chill, a cough, a shortness of breath, fatigue, muscle or body aches, a headache, new loss of smell or taste, sore throat, congestion, nausea or vomiting, and diarrhea. And with these symptoms, they would usually incubate in a human body for at least 14 days. So hence why the CDC would recommend individuals to be quarantined for at least 2 weeks to see if any symptoms are being presented. Now, since the coronavirus began, we start seeing cities close down facilities and businesses that would usually host like large amounts of people, or would predict a high amount of transmission of the coronavirus to people. Now, these businesses will include movie theaters, malls, bars and pubs, libraries, schools, gyms, barbers, and much more. Unfortunately, this is where we are in this world, and we're doing the best we can to fight the coronavirus. So we're very limited, and so this leaves like all these places to be limited in their operations. Now, the ways that we are told to help fight the coronavirus would be the number one thing, to wear a mask. Now, you'll see people wearing masks such as these commonly sold surgical masks, as so, or this mask, maybe possibly this mask too, or maybe this one as well. Now, the point of wearing these masks is to limit the possible germ transmission between talking to somebody, for example. So, talking with one person to another person without being covered would be presenting about like a more than 90% transmission rate, which will be highly deadly. However, if one or both of us can be covered, it will definitely reduce the transmission rate. Having both of us covered will mean that we'll be seeing at least 10 to 5% of a transmission rate. Alright, so now as we compare between the Black Plague and the coronavirus, maybe we see very few similarities between the two. One of the similarities I saw between the Black Plague and the coronavirus is how the origin of the transmission is from China, which is pretty odd, but also pretty similar, as the transmission seems like it's animal based. However, the origins of the coronavirus still remains a mystery today. And among all the symptoms between the Black Plague and the coronavirus, we can see that symptoms such as like a fever, a headache, chills, weakness is pretty similar to each other, as that is like our body's normal response to telling us like, hey, we're sick, try to get better, drink orange juice, or drink some chicken noodle soup. Alright, I almost forgot to do the response, but here it is. Alright, so in response to Jacklynn Holland's video, I like how she addressed the divide, the social divide that we have in the United States in regards to handling the coronavirus and the use of wearing the mask in comparison to how Europe is handling the coronavirus, similar to how they're how they're experiencing the Black Plague. Although they're not experiencing very crazy casualty rates, they do want to address the fact that it's a biological issue that should be addressed immediately. Otherwise, we'll see more lives being lost, and our economy will cripple down. But I also want to address that I like how she did all of that in so little takes. Comparing to me, I am trying to cut and paste all this stuff. So anyway, that is my coronavirus and Black Plague video. I hope you guys enjoy it, and peace.